If you have a local business and you're starting to get traffic, maybe you've been following along with my local bricks and mortar local SEO case study and tutorial, then your next question is, of course, how do I convert that traffic? How do I turn them into customers, turn them into revenue? So in this case, I launched this site just over a month ago. It's ranking for 5 keywords, many of which are my main target keywords. I've got the exact match domain, and I'm starting to get some traffic coming through. So far, we've probably only spent an hour on this site in terms of the design and doing the basic off-page of citations and press release. Now we can level that up. We can start doing some proper link building, tidying up the site generally, and we'll also get approved for Google Business and therefore rank in the local Google Maps on Google. But none of that is any good. Traffic doesn't work if it isn't converting. So how do we convert those visitors? Now, a lot of local businesses will simply put their phone number here. So there's a few key things to know with that. If you want someone to email you, then you can create a button and you want to use mail to : and then your email address. So I could set up a button that says email us here. If I turn this into a link, insert link, and I put in mail to name@email.com, then anyone who clicks this link, this is going to open in their email provider like this. And you can even use conditions to actually create a template for them. So you can have a default subject line of I want to book an appointment and then have their details pre-filled here. So you can basically prompt them to include name, phone number, things like that. If you want those advanced fields, then you can just Google for a mail to : email generator, or just use ChatGPT saying you're trying to create this mail to link and you want to include some other aspects. So if we search mail to link generator, then I'm sure we should be able to find it's mail2linkgenerator.com. So there we go. So you can pre-fill things like your subject, any CCs you want. So all this that you want put into that template when someone starts. So if we do me.com, CC SEO Jesus at me.com, subject, I want to book, my name is, my address is, my phone number is, and the link text should be email us now. Generate my mail to link, so we can copy that. So if we just change that link I created before, we remove that link and we'll put in a new link, which is this one. And now if we click on that link, it should open in my email, and there's all those details I set. So the CC, the subject, and my details. Now the other thing that people really like is having a clickable phone number. And that's the same kind of concept. You just want the link of the button to be tel : TEL, and then the phone number. So we can simply do call us here, and we can turn that into a link and apply it like that. So now you can see that's the link. So if we click on that, Apple will now say, do you want to open FaceTime? If you're on a phone, then it will automatically dial from your phone. So that's pretty nice, and that's pretty much as far as some people get when having a local business like this. And it's fine to start. It's a good way of just getting going. As you've seen from this tutorial, remember, this is now the 5th or 6th video I've done on this particular website. So I've done the full tutorial. You can find it on my channel. But you know, I'm a big fan of doing the minimum viable quantity of anything. So currently we've got a very minimal website with minimal content, and therefore for that initial conversion, just as we get our first leads coming in, we don't want to spend too long faffing around with the conversion either. And then as it starts to scale, we can start investing more and more into it, more time and more budget. But supposing this was starting to get serious traffic now, and we want to go beyond just these button clicks for email us or phone us, because they feel a bit clunky, a bit unprofessional, and there's a lot more you can do if you use a form. So let me show you how to set up a form very easily, in a form that converts, gets you the data you need, and the extra things you can do with that form to really improve your revenue. So I'm now logged in. Not forgetting we've got Elementor on this site, which makes a really nice visual drag and drop page builder. So you can forget about Wix and Squarespace. You can use free WordPress, but use Elementor. It's about $50, $60 a year, something like that for premium. And with that, we can set up forms. So you don't need a separate form plugin like Gravity Forms, anything like that. I always just use the forms within Elementor. It minimizes the friction of having lots of different plugins. Now, before we go on, if you're using an external CRM, like ActiveCampaign is what I use, you can go to integrations, and then you can add in, if you're using MailChimp, your MailChimp API key, or your ActiveCampaign API key, ConvertKit, Drip, GetResponse, MailerLite. If you're using any of these popular email marketing services, then you can basically hook up your forms to those systems. And we'll come on to the rest of that in a minute. But first, how do we build our form? So I'm putting mine on the home page. So we go to edit with Elementor, and what I'm going to do is come straight down to the bottom. I'm going to get a form widget and just drag that in here. Now, already it's pretty simple: name, email, message. I'm going to add in a phone number, and assuming we're scheduling something, in this case scheduling a clean, I'm going to put in a date and say preferred day, and we can also add in another field and put in time, put in label preferred time, and of course it'd be helpful to have the address as well. So that can just be a text area. Obviously using Elementor forms isn't as good as some specialist systems where you might have a postcode lookup and things like that, but for now, this is fine. This is all we need. So let's just reorder these a bit. We can also do types of service. So let's go for select, and then we just add in our options here. So let's do end of tenancy, deep clean. You might want to enable multiple selection for this. End of tenancy, deep clean, oven cleaning, ironing, laundry. So we've got a range of options available. And for label, we just put services required. Now with all these, you can make some of them required and some not. So I generally make name, email, and phone number essential. And partly what that does is it helps fight spammers, because if someone's using software but they don't have a preset for services required or something like that, then they'll struggle to proceed. Then we get on to actions after submit, and that's where you can basically set up an email and send it to your email address. So every time someone fills in this form, you'll be emailed with a copy of all their inputs. So that's always a good thing, especially to start out. But we can also put in your email marketing provider. So if you're using something like ActiveCampaign, then that will then create an ActiveCampaign field here. You have to set your API key, but you can then subscribe them to a list and set up a welcome sequence, something like that. If you've got a fully built CRM, then you can basically import their name, address, email, and phone number all into your CRM, whether it's HubSpot, ActiveCampaign, something like that. So whoever's responsible for your sales can immediately call them up, and you can have this whole dialogue with them. If you need to email them something, you can send them an email. If you need to call them again, confirm a few details, you can call them within the system. But today we're just talking about forms. So if I minimize this, you'll get an idea of what the form currently looks like. Now, some people would just put this form, we can also style it a bit better as well. So let's put in some padding, just tidy it up a bit. I tend to put 20 all the way around, so that looks a little bit better. Now, some people would say, we want our forms to be really prominent in front of the viewer. So right at the top of the page, we'll have our headline, and then we'll have a form. Or potentially, if you're using a 2-column layout, we can add in an inner section. We just add a container here. So you might do a 1-column layout like this, or you might add a separate column and just have the form on the side here. That's always popular for local businesses. But either way, it can be quite off-putting to immediately land on a website and have this whole wall of details. So what I generally prefer to do, if we go back to the editor, is I'll take that form back and I'll bury it right at the bottom. So scroll right down here and then drop it in there. And then I'll go back into Elementor and get a menu anchor widget and put that just above. Let's make this nice and prominent and put a title there that says book your cleaner now. And now we can go back to the top, and anywhere we have a button like this, we can change the link and we can just put in hash key and then form. Now, if we come down to our menu anchor, click on that menu anchor, and the ID should be whatever we put in that link. So again, it can just be form. And now rather than contact us, let's put book now. For conversion rate optimization, you want to test out different call to action text. So you could say that book now sounds a bit too committed. Maybe someone would prefer get quote or inquire now. You just got to test to find out what's right for your audience. But if I now click update and now go to preview changes, we can then open that final page in a fresh tab, and you'll see we don't have any clunky form here that looks scary. But if we click book now, if everything's working well, it should just jump down to the bottom, and that's where we have our form. So I'll do that again, book now, and it takes us straight to the form. So if we go back to Elementor, I can now copy that, and we can just put this button everywhere. So you can see here the template we're using has got a call to action section, and that's got a little button at the bottom, which is currently linking to this internal URL. But all we need to do is put hash key and then form, and that too will convert to an anchor link, or what some people call a jump link, that jumps down to that booking icon. But again, if we take our original button, copy that, we can put this in wherever we like. So let's put it here. We go to style, we can make that central. Why choose us? You just want to put this button absolutely everywhere, not side by side in the columns like that. We want it underneath ideally. Maybe we can put it by the title. Yes. And then again, just align center. Customer testimonials, what a good place to put a book now button after they've been sold, seen how great we are. You get the idea. So you can literally fill your page with these call to action buttons that all just take the visitor down to this clunky form at the bottom. So that works really nicely. There are just a few extra steps I recommend, and one of them is basically gamification. If someone sees this great long form, especially if it's less of a grudge purchase and it's more of a nice to have, less of essential, then someone might see this form and think, screw that, I definitely know the feeling where someone says, great, all we need you to do is fill in this form, and then it takes me 3 weeks because I see this big ugly form, and therefore from a sales perspective, that can affect your conversion rate. So here's a little magic trick I like to add in, where if we select the form, we go to content, and now I'm going to go to add item and put in step, and it's right at the bottom here, and I can drag this step up to the top. So now we've turned that massive form into just name and email, or we could even just put name. Now you might have found with certain startups, certain tech companies, they'll often start like this. They'll just have a blank page that just says, what is your name? And that's nice and easy. But then you fill that in the next page, then what's your email? Then it's what's your phone number? What's your address? And it just takes you further and further down the funnel until they've got all the details they need. So rather than seeing that big scary form, all you're being given is your name. And I'm, as the user, I'm thinking, well, that's easy, here's my name. And I've got no idea how long this is actually going to take, but it's much easier to just trap me in like that and lure me in with a nice easy form rather than giving me that whole wall of fields. So now we can simply add in more steps. So again, select the type and it's a step and take it up to here. And now you can see at the top here, Elementor is showing us the different steps. You can play around with how this is actually formatted, but basically the crucial thing is you want to take all that complex data and turn it into a really easy, simple approach. So first it's your name, then it takes you to email, phone number, what do you need, and that's pretty much done. And generally this will convert so much better than a great long wall of form fields. So when I had my book on SEO for coaches, and I was using ads to try and drive people to my Power Lever Audit initial offer, I've got this simple landing page at the top. You can see there's no form here. It's all just proof, basically. Nice headline, nice visualization of what you get, a breakdown or what the method actually involves. We've got our as seen in logos, and we've got a load of testimonials. And a video. So there's no big ugly form here. But if you click apply now, jumps down to the bottom, and then this is all going to show up differently with the video recorder in the way, but it's first name, so we can put that. Then we go next, website. So I put in my website there, and we go next. And you can see there's a nice progress bar at the top. So generally this just feels much more satisfying to use than a great long wall of fields. Now, if I remember right, I set up this form with an additional step that I'm going to recommend to you, which is basically a one-time offer or an upsell. So when you're actually in the form, if we go down to actions after submit, you have the option of putting in redirect. And that basically means with the default form, you click submit on the final step and it'll go round and round, and it will give you a little tick which says your response has been submitted. That is a wasted opportunity because you've got this person who is already interested in your service. They have shown clear interest and some willingness to buy, and they've gone through that process of trusting you with their details. They're in that buying frame of mind, and you've just given them a message that says, thanks for taking those details, we'll be in touch. That's a wasted opportunity. What you want to do, and what top sales funnel experts will tell you, is you want to then present them with some kind of offer. So by using the redirect feature in Elementor Forms, you can then take them to a one-time offer. So if I just complete this form, I'm pretty sure that's what I did at the time here. So in current annual revenue, this is a good one if you are doing quite expensive services and you want to screen for budget. Obviously, if you're a roofer, I've heard loads of roofers complaining that they'll get people calling up just wanting to replace a single tile versus someone doing a full $50,000 roof replacement. So having a budget that's arranged in this style is a really good idea. And crucially, do not put your minimum budget as the minimum. You want to try and disqualify people and get rid of low ticket clients. So in this case, it's saying the minimum annual revenue is 50,000 to 99,000. So in this case, I'm not asking for budget, I'm asking for their annual revenue. But that means anyone who's making less than 50,000 is just going to tick 50,000 to 99,000 because that's the only option available. Really, you should have an extra step. I say this from experience. You should have an extra step which allows them to declare their honest details that I don't have the budget or I'm not making this much revenue, because that way you know that anyone who ticks the 50,000 to 99,000 is actually making that much or has that budget. So it can be tempting to put your minimum as the minimum, but that means you'll get loads of people just having a go, trying their luck, putting in your minimum, hoping they can get through to you. And the reality is they're not prepared to actually make that commitment. So put in a lower threshold so that you know anyone who fills in that is not qualified for you. But now if we complete this form, we should see that one-time offer. So we have a long track record of scaling. This is a good one for high ticket stuff. If you want to get people to get used to basically saying, yes, I'm ready to commit. Yes, I want to take the next step. Yes, I understand that places are limited, etc. Yes, I want done for you. So you can use really complex Elementor forms to get lots of details from your prospects and really qualify them before they get anywhere. But now we should get the redirect. So here we go. Thank you, we've received your application. So you can see the URL has changed to paralevermethod.com/received. In this case, I am just using a send email opt-in. I basically try to make them take extra steps. So to increase your chances of acceptance, please send us a quick email so we can reply when your audit is ready. That stops your audit from getting lost in your junk folder. So for high ticket services, you want to introduce more friction. You want your prospects to actually take more steps in order to get in. So here I've used a mail to link, and really quite a complex one. So we see send me my SEO video audit. It says, hey Stuart, can't wait for you to reply to this email with my audit. And I basically did that because when you're using forms, they're never actually emailing you. Therefore, if you email them, it's very easy for that to end up in the spam folder. So certainly for high ticket stuff, I recommend trying to get them to email you somehow as well. In my agency today, we generally do that via WhatsApp because we take the phone number on the front end. So then not only do we email them confirmation, but we also send them a WhatsApp message that says, we've received your application, please keep an eye on your inbox and your junk folder because our audits often go into junk. Now, when it comes to a one-time offer, here the offer is no longer live, but it's basically secure your exclusive free consulting call. You've taken the first step, so now book in a call. So this wasn't even a paid offer, but you absolutely can do paid offers. So really challenge yourself to think, if you've got people who are already taking the step of making an inquiry and filling in your form, then what's a nice little deal you can offer them? So for a low ticket service like a cleaning company, you could do a simple refer a friend scheme. So it says get 50% off your first clean by sharing your link on Facebook, something like that, and then email us a screenshot of confirmation. So the very moment after a lead form like this is submitted is an absolute golden opportunity. So really don't waste it. I quite often do. But basically take your existing service and try and break it down to some sort of sample. So if you are more high ticket, you're an agency or something like that, make the thank you page for your inquiry form be something like, you can get our audit for $200 rather than $500. Yeah, exclusive to people who have completed that form are on this page right now. We don't repeat this anywhere else. So that way, if you're running any paid traffic, you can basically make money on the front end and pay for your ads before you're even selling the high ticket service. That's the theory anyway. So you really want to squeeze every bit of revenue out of every potential lead, and using one-time offers on the thank you page of your free inquiry form is a great way to do that. But otherwise, that's how you use Elementor forms. Like I say, I recommend you just use buttons on your page, use an anchor link to take them down to the form, and then make your form a multi-step form that uses just a few fields at a time, rather than presenting them with a whole wall of fields to fill in. So this works for high ticket, this works for low ticket, but crucially, you've got then all their details in your inbox. You can then start off all sorts of automations, whether it's with your email marketing provider, using WhatsApp, SMS, using links to email us or call us. That's a great first step, but it's terrible for conversion rate optimization because you might just find people get distracted. They've clicked the button and they take no further action. If they've filled in a form, it's nice and easy for them. Quite often on their phone will automatically fill in the form for them. And then you've got their details in your systems. So you can now call them, email them, and get that deal closed.